And with that, welcome to another episode of Calm Under Pressure. I am Vice President of Business Development here at Mind Club America. I'm John Troutman, and we're glad you can join us today. It's a favorite topic of mine. We'll be talking about today of burnout. As most of you may or may not know, I am a survivor of severe burnout, so this resonates with me. Um, I'm very passionate about inspiring people. I am doing what I'm doing today at Mind Club because of my history involved with burnout. So if you're not familiar with Mind Club America and you're joining us for the first time, whether live or watching the recording, please reach out to us if you'd like to learn more. We are a one-stop shop for mental health, and we are here to support you in any area of mental health whatsoever. Today, I am just thrilled to be talking about this topic, although it won't be me, it'll be the wonderful hosts who have a great experience, Paul Udell and Gail Empt. They are part of Mind Club America as well. And without further ado, I'm just going to roll the mic over their way and let them take it from here. Gail and Paul.
Hi, thanks, John. Welcome. Hello, everybody. So for those of you who have joined us before, today we're going to talk about burnout, and we're going to look at recognizing it in our colleagues and recognizing it in ourselves and some tools and strategies we can use to get ourselves back into balance. But for those of you who've been here before, you know what I like to do is give us an opportunity to create a little bit of space between our hectic jobs and what we were doing right before we signed on here and our time together, because this is really a time for us to think big picture and learn new skills and approaches so we can get through the day. So take a look at this photo, and I'm going to ask you to bear with me for a minute. Just take a slow, deep breath in and exhale gently, and just let all the thoughts that have been in your head, just let them go by. They'll be there, don't worry, they'll come back to you, but for right now, just let them go. And imagine you're actually standing on this hillside with the ground beneath your feet. There's the fresh air after the rain. You hear the water on the shore, and everything is calm and peaceful and large. I mean, it's just open space around you. And as you breathe in, think about the quiet strength of the landscape, the strong, steady trees, the still waters. And as you exhale, any tension that you carry, let that just dissolve away. The meetings, the deadlines, the noise, let it all fade into the background and keep your attention focused on this lake and this rainbow. And this rainbow is vibrant, it's full of color, and it's a reminder that calm and clarity can follow even the most intense storms. Each color in the rainbow, imagine it represents creativity and hope and purpose and connection. Every breath in and every breath out, let your shoulders relax, clear your mind. You're in a moment of peace. Now, when you return to the world beyond this room, the calls and the clients and the to-do lists, remember that you can keep this image with you and you can reconnect to these feelings of calm and creativity and power that you have right now. So thank you for bearing with me as we jump into this topic on how to stay calm under pressure. And we're talking about burnout in particular. And what we're going to be doing today is looking at what are some of the early warning signs for you or for a colleague. How do you recognize them? Because awareness is the first step in being able to create changes. We're going to look at some new tools to help you manage your environment and recharge your energy. And we're going to talk about, we have muscles, right? You know, you go to the gym, work on muscles. I work on my leg muscles a lot because I play sports. But our mind is also a muscle. And we can strengthen our mind's ability to reset itself and our body to restore itself, our nervous system to calm down. And we're going to talk about checking in and how we can create small steps. Each small step helps us to create a big win. So I want you to think about, if anybody ever been in this position. I have. I can't tell you. In fact, I was there not too long ago, just feeling like so many things were cascading in on me. I would felt like I was dragging myself to my computer. I was always tense. I got upset much more easily than I usually did. That's a really big tip off. I'm going to say that what I tend to feel is shallow breathing for me. It's really important that we can be aware when we're starting to get overloaded. You have a connection, you understand the things that are your early warning signs, and that's terrific. It's one of the keys to being able to take action. So we need to know what burnout is. It's a state of emotional, mental, and or physical exhaustion caused by prolonged stress and competing demands. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being I'm totally wiped, I don't want to deal with anything, nothing, 10 being I am completely energized, I'm focused, I'm ready to go. How mentally charged are you feeling today? What's really important is that you can come up with your own number because now you're going to be able to take control. You're going to be able to do a couple things. You're going to be able to see whether you're at a place where you need to do some recharging or some rebalancing. You're going to be able to do it, and then you're going to be able to self-check, again, asking yourself that 1 to 10, whether it's working for you or not. Really powerful tool to allow you to take control over yourself, your responses, so that you can avoid burnout. Signs to check. So we do a little check-in, and there are 6 areas where we recommend, where it's recommended. We don't, the science is on this, that we recommend that we check in with ourselves or somebody else. Mental burnout. You are in a fog. You start to be forgetful. You have poor concentration, right? You maybe find it hard to make a decision to move forward. That can be a really good indicator that you're approaching burnout. Emotional, irritability. You're feeling detached. You don't care who, whatever. You're feeling drained. Physical. A lot of us feel physical symptoms, stomach upset, headaches, insomnia, fatigue. Our sense of purpose, our ability to deliver, we start missing deadlines. There's not as much follow through. We feel like we're not being effective in what we're doing. And social, maybe we're not hanging out with friends as much. Maybe we're avoiding our colleagues at work. So I want you to take a minute and think about somebody on your team, somebody that you work with. It could be a client that you're talking to, anybody who seemed a little bit off to you. And I want you to think about what signs you're seeing in them. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you over to Paul, who's going to talk to you about what some things you can do and why they're so important. Paul, take it away.
Thanks, Gail. Hey, everyone. So, I want to start off with saying that numerous studies show that it's easier to notice fatigue and burnout through behavior change in others more than noticing it within ourselves. It's harder to see our own change or symptoms of burnout. Simply put, or another way to say this, behaviors betray us. Let's explore how to recognize burnout in others, why this is important, and some steps to address it. So, why is identifying our own burnout so tough? Well, as burnout progresses, it impairs a person's ability to recognize that they're suffering, making it less likely to seek support and more likely to ignore the warning signs. Also, fear of negative judgment or appearing weak can cause an individual to deny their burnout symptoms until a severe emotional or physical breakdown occurs. And people sometimes view stress as the new normal, particularly in high stress professions, neglecting their own needs. I know I can certainly relate with that. So, then why is it easier to notice it in others? Well, external signs of burnout, such as behavior change and the symptoms Gail just outlined, are more noticeable to others. We create that impaired self awareness. Also, observers have a more objective view of the changes in behavior and performance. Coworkers and managers can notice departures from a person's usual routines or character, such as a typically patient and diplomatic person may become more easily annoyed and impatient. So, why is all of this important? Well, untreated burnout can lead to a host of health issues, including anxiety, depression, insomnia, high blood pressure, heart disease, a weakened immune system. Early detection is key to mitigating these long term health risks. Also, burnout symptoms like irritability, social withdrawal, and apathy can severely strain personal and professional relationships. So, identifying these signs early allows individuals to seek support and maintain these valuable connections. And then, lastly, burnout significantly impacts job performance, leading to decreased productivity, increased errors, a loss of creativity. Early intervention will help maintain a high performing and engaged workforce. Here's the bottom line: burnout develops slow. So, spotting these subtle shifts early is key. It's harder to notice it ourselves, which is why it's important to recognize it in others before it escalates into health concerns and crosses over into personal lives. In times of high stress, how many have taken your work home with you or into off hours? I know I'm certainly guilty of it. I wonder if it would have benefited if someone came to you with these noticeable symptoms. Now, I want to connect identifying burnout to working remotely. Even in remote work environments, we can still notice burnout symptoms or behavior change through mediums like email or virtual meetings, or maybe a lack thereof, right? How many have had to rewrite an email because the tone felt too strong or not strong enough? Or how about reading an email and thinking, oof, John seems pretty heated about this topic. Cue up the popcorn meme. I'm totally following this email thread. Or I wonder why John hasn't responded to this. He always has valuable input. See, I'm not going to pick on you too much, John. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over symptoms. Gail kind of outlined that beautifully. However, there are still ways to notice how burnout affects us working remotely. You may see a colleague withdraw from active communication and input, giving one-word email responses, isolating, maybe having missed or late meetings. You may notice a drop in engagement during virtual meetings, team chats, or email threads, especially from someone who was previously vocal. And then there's behavioral changes, such as shift in tone of emails, inappropriate facial expressions in meetings like blank, absent, discuss, or distracted. Now that we've gone over why it's important and how it looks, even working remotely, let's explore what to do about it. All right, so this tool is called Transparency Talk, and this tool works best if you're able to foster a transparent, open, and honest dialogue with another person or a small team, like 2 to 3 people. The idea here is, since it's easier to recognize burnout in others, if we can create a small team dedicated to hold each other accountable through support, we can begin to detect the early signs of burnout early and mitigate it before it escalates. The key is to have a unified agreement that if one notices symptoms of burnout, the other can believe that it's coming from a place of honesty, non-judgment, and compassion. Now, I do not presume to know everyone's work. However, I would imagine that everyone is a part of a team, or maybe you manage a small team. And just to be clear, I'm also not suggesting beyond familiar relationships here. This part of the tool is completely subject to your level of comfortability. However, I will say about a positive byproduct is this tool will help foster a stronger culture, more cohesion among team members, which will aid in healthier work dynamics. All right, so let's talk about steps to achieving this. Pretty easy flow once it kind of goes all together. Step one, find a way to approach the individual one-on-one. You want to make sure both feel comfortable to be honest. Step two, focus on open-ended questions to create supportive, non-judgmental dialogue rather than any direct accusations. These open-ended questions encourage reflection and open conversation. And some good examples would be, how are you really holding up this week? Or tell me about how you've been handling stress lately. Anything with a how or a what or a tell me about is a great start. The third step is acknowledge and validate. That can be as simple as a comment along the lines of, I get how stressful that might be. Number four is focus on specific non-judgmental observations. This could look like, I've noticed you've been participating a lot less lately, or I've noticed your tone has changed in emails and meetings. Lastly, step five, plan and follow up. Now, the plan could be a collaborative thing, and utilizing some questions to formulate that plan could look like, what do you think some options for solutions could be? Or Tell me about what works for a recharge. Now, do you notice that we're still using open-ended questions here to elicit dialogue? And make sure you follow up. Agree to circle back and check in to see if burnout has increased or decreased. Now, I've got a couple of pro tips here. One, be genuine and authentic the whole way through. And two, schedule routine check-ins for burnout. This will help to be preventative and it'll show support. All right, so this 5-step process does not have to be time consuming. It may seem like a lot, but let's be honest, burnout and high stress have become more common and it should not be normalized. In the workplace, it can affect multiple people, not just the individual. Simply advising someone to take a break just isn't enough, and the issue is often systemic. If stress and burnout do persist, remember you're not alone. Support and help is available. I wanted to include some additional resources, and these resources will be included in the takeaway that gets sent out to everyone. The first one is the burnout assessment tool. It's a great self-take test. It's quick, and it'll just kind of give you some indications of burnout. There's the Maslick Burnout Inventory. It's another great tool. There are multiple variations for different professions, and the link included here is for the general one. And just a quick disclaimer, both of these tools are not meant to diagnose or anything. It's just meant to measure burnout symptoms, kind of see where you're at. Lastly, seeking professional help. It's not uncommon for professionals to seek help to address stress, burnout, anxiety, and many other life-distressing challenges. Professional help can take many forms, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention our agency Mind Club. We have evidence-based tools that work, including a personalized mental fitness plan, self-paced e-learning videos, and easy-to-access therapy. Just let one of us know if we can help. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Gail.
Thanks, Paul. Actually, before I move off this, I'm curious because we've just talked about looking at our colleagues, seeing if we are observing anything that might indicate they're starting to struggle, and offering a tool, transparent talks, to make an outreach to them. I wonder if anybody here has noticed burnout in their colleagues or has tried a tool like this, or any thoughts you have about barriers to being able to do it or questions you might have about doing it. Because we know that when our colleagues around us are struggling, it can impact the entire team. Similarly, if we have a connection with somebody outside our organization and they're struggling, they're not going to be able to be as responsive to us, to our needs, right? And that can impact our work and our ability to perform. Now that we've looked at it in the context of noticing in somebody else, what if we notice it in ourselves and what can we do? And I want to give you this concept. I talked about it earlier, right? My two sons, the warning light comes on in the car. One of them immediately calls me to find out what to do about it, and the other one totally ignores it until he breaks down by the side of the road, right? Who wants to be the person who's broken down by the side of the road? Anybody? Not me, right? I'm going to be more like my younger son. Oh, there's a warning light. What do I need to do with it? Well, we owe it to ourselves to take the same approach to our lives and our bodies. If you understood that that warning light was telling you, hey, if you don't deal with me, you're going to have bigger problems down the road, wouldn't you want to take care of it now? So, awareness, check the 5 areas. Mental, are you having trouble concentrating? Are you more irritable? Somebody said that. Are you feeling more tired than usual? Are you starting to have some physical symptoms like headaches and backaches? Getting sick frequently? Are you having trouble hitting deadlines or following through on things? And are you then at the end of the day say, yeah, I don't want to see anybody, right? These are your warning signs that you want to take advantage of. So here are some tools, some things that we can do. They don't take a long time, but they're really powerful for building our awareness and giving us things to do to build our muscle and restore ourselves. So we look at the 5 areas: mental, emotional, physical, purpose, and social. And take a minute to rate each one. So mental, 1 to 10. I have no mental energy. I'm lost. I'm distracted. To 10, I'm totally energized and focused and I know what's going on. Rate it from 1 to 10. Then do the same thing for emotional, physical. How am I feeling physically? Purpose. How do I feel about my purpose and what I'm accomplishing? Social. How do I feel about how I'm connected into my friends? Once you've done the 1 to 10 rating for all 5 areas, look at them and see which 1 or 2 are you're most drained in. These are the ones you may want to focus on first. One of the keys to success in addressing potential burnout is to start small and focused and pick 1 or 2 areas and 1 or 2 things to do and make an improvement there and then move on to something else. Because a lot of other people make the mistake of saying, oh my gosh, I'm scoring low in all 5 areas. I've got to deal with all 5 right now. What do you think happens if we try to tackle all 5 at the same time? Not a lot, probably, right? Because we get scattered. It's a ton more things on our plate when we're already overwhelmed. So the odds are we're not going to make progress in any of them. So identify 1, maybe 2. All those overachievers out there can go for 2. I'll pick 1, but I know that I have some good friends who would insist they had to take on at least 2 at a time. Write down the area and then give yourself a chance to brainstorm 1 or 2 things that you could do that would restore your energy in that area. In other words, if you scored a 3 on mental, I'm really drained, I can't focus. What are 1 or 2 things you could do? Well, maybe I could use a tool to prioritize my work and then only focus on priority number 1 and number 2. That's going to allow me to improve how I'm doing mentally. I'll pick up on purpose. Purpose means you're feeling that what you're doing makes sense to you, that you're accomplishing something. It usually aligns with your values and your goals. And it could be as simple as I want my boss to give me a raise. And so everything I'm going to do is going to try to be in aid of the purpose of getting a raise or getting a promotion or moving to a different part of the company or joining a new team, right? Purpose. Why are we trying to accomplish? What are we trying to accomplish for ourselves in the workspace? Strategize 1 or 2 things that you can do in the area that you've selected and give yourself a time frame for doing it, right? So mental, I'm so scattered, I can't keep everything straight. I'm going to go back and look at my work and I'm going to check my priorities. I'm only going to work on priority number 1 and number 2, and I'm going to get this done in the next 24 hours, right? Give yourself a time frame, because otherwise, if you just say, yeah, I'm going to reprioritize my work, it's going to be, yeah, I'm going to do that tomorrow after I get this done and that done and the other thing done, right? And you're stuck in your snowball of not being able to take control of your environment. Once you have done the activity, the goal, you can move on to the next area, or you can repeat the assessment as needed as you go on. This is a great tool for checking in with yourself over time. Another tool that we can use here, simple one, quick and easy, recognize, rebalance, refill. Recognize when you're depleted and you're strung out and because you're stressed, because you're irritable, because you're tired. And look at the workload and how you can delegate, defer, delete. Can I give some of this to somebody else? Is some of this actually, can I move it to a different, it's not urgent, it's something I'm going to handle in the longer term. Does it really need to be done at all? Right? Taking that step back and looking what's in front of me allows me to rebalance and then refill yourself with intentional practices, things that we teach around how to help reset your body and your mind. Because when we're in chronic stress mode, Chronic stress elevates a chemical inside our body, which is called cortisol. Cortisol does some things to us. It disrupts our ability to sleep because it's keeping us engaged. It impairs our ability to think creatively because it's going to get us focusing on the thing that's closest at hand that needs to get done. It's going to tire us out because our system, it's like a car where the engine is revving too high, right? It's going to wear it out. So bringing back balance reduces the cortisol level in your body, which is why you're then able to sleep better and you're able to think more creatively. And you get out of the tunnel vision that we talked about a lot last week. All right. Tool number 3 is take a minute to connect yourself to why am I doing this to begin with, right? And there's a couple, it's called the 5 whys. It's a really straightforward process. So let's say you're having a problem, struggling to stay motivated to finish a report. Why am I struggling to finish it? Oh, it feels boring and pointless. I've done tasks like especially when I'm doing spreadsheets, which I hated. Yeah. Why am I rebuilding this business case yet again? Feels boring and pointless. Why does it feel pointless? Well, because I don't think anyone really values it. They seem to be asking me to redo these numbers over and over and over again. Why? Why do I feel it's not valued? Well, they just come to me and they ask me to rerun it and I rerun it, but they don't give me any feedback on what I'm doing and what I've been doing. Why does it matter to me to get feedback? Well, because I want to know my work is making a difference, that I'm helping move the ball forward for my team or my company or myself. Why is making a difference important? Well, because my value is I want to feel like I'm contributing to something meaningful, something beyond myself. As we walk through these whys, you ask yourself why, you come up with an answer, and then you ask yourself, why is that answer the answer? Why, until you get down to the core driver. You want to feel like you're contributing to something meaningful. And now you're going to look at creating an action. What can I do to feel like I'm doing something meaningful? I could ask for feedback on what I've been submitting. I could clarify how the report is going to impact the decisions that the company makes. I could say, well, I'm looking for feedback that I'm providing really accurate information because that's important to me, or that I'm providing a service to my team because that's important to me, right? When you reconnect to your why, it reconnects you to your motivation, and that's going to re-energize you and bring you back. It's a great little tool to use. And lastly, we're going to come and look at what we can do for our bodies, right? Structuring your work in session into blocks of time. Science says no longer than 90 minutes without taking take a 20-minute micro break. I've got a girlfriend of mine. I was a CEO of a nonprofit in New York City. I was talking to her about this as I was preparing for the presentation. She says she can't go more than an hour. Her ability to perform goes like this if she goes more than an hour. So she does an hour and take 20-minute break, hour, take a break. When you take that break, make sure it's resetting your body. Last week, we talked about box breathing. And this week, we're going to talk about short, quick movement resets. Oh, shrugging my shoulders. So I'm going to ask everybody, I'm going to take us through, since Paul and I have been throwing a lot of information at you, not for an hour yet, only about half an hour, but still, let's give you a little bit of a chance to reset. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me, and I'm going to walk you through box breathing for 4 times. And I'm going to ask you to do a little bit of a movement reset when we're done. All right? Sit in a relaxed position in your chair. And box breathing, for those of you who don't remember, is you're going to breathe into the count of 4, you're going to hold for 4 counts, you're going to exhale to the count of 4, and you're going to hold for 4 counts. And this is a very powerful breath approach that calms our central nervous system down. So we're going to do this 4 times in a row. And I'm going to start with the count. And breathe in 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4, and exhale 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4. And last time, inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, and hold 2, 3, 4. And as you come back to normal breathing, I'd like everybody to take their shoulders, pull them up to your ears as hard as you can. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, let the shoulders just fall. And do that once again. Breathe in and bring the shoulders up to the ears. And as you exhale, let the shoulders fall. And then take your eyes and take them off me and the computer screen. And I want you to look at something that's all the way across the room from you. And tell yourself what it is that you're looking at: the clock, the door, the window, the piece of paper, your child's artwork. And then bring your eyes back to the computer in front of you. And then look across the room again. And then back in front of you. Just the act of shifting where you're looking helps to bring down the nervous system. All right, everybody, thank you for bearing with me and doing that. And for those of you who are thinking about the breathing, you start off and just do it a few times in a row, and maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Just test it out. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. We try to use this session to help you get an awareness of early warning signs of burnout in yourself. When you're starting to get stressed, it's an ideal time. The warning lights come on for you to take some action. We've given you different tools, and as you stay with us, as we do Calm Under Pressure, we will have more time to practice tools, to tailor it to ourselves, to really find out which of these things we're going to use for ourselves. We looked at a couple of micro resets for our mind and body, and I cannot encourage you enough to set one small thing that you want to do in the next week, because you can't serve your clients and your teams from an empty tank. We want to get ahead of burnout before it incapacitates us, and we're going to learn tools to do it. And next week, we're going to be focusing on communicating under pressure and the impact stress has on our ability to communicate and connect. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to turn it over to John.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gail and Paul. And I'm just going to speak very transparently here. I went through burnout. It took me, because I did not listen to the advice that was given to me, it took me 6 months, and I literally needed to take 6 months off of my life. Burnout is real. It can be, in some cases, life-threatening, and it can cause you to make decisions that you might regret because you are burned out. And many people like myself who are on this call, or watching it live, watching it recording, are very driven individuals. And so I plead with you, don't do what I did long ago. What I did was I just kept going. I didn't have the greatest self-awareness. I just knew how to have a great work ethic and keep pressing. If you're feeling burned out, or you are burned out, or people are telling you, I was told I was burned out and I didn't want to listen to it. I was like, no, I'm not. I can just keep doing one more thing, or I just kept adding to the workload. And that was not helpful. That was very harmful to me. And it took months, in some cases years, to recover a lot of things. And it impacted my health. So I applaud you, Gail and Paul, and I also implore everyone here, think about these things. And if someone's telling you, if someone's reaching out to you and they're trying to gently say to you, are you feeling burned out, or you are feeling burned out, pay attention to those people, pay attention to the warning signs. If you are a person like I was 20 years ago, who did not have the greatest self-awareness, reach out to Gail, reach out to Paul, ask them, what are some things you can look for so that you can be more self-aware? Self-awareness is the key in life. We oftentimes don't see ourselves as other people see us, whether good, bad, or indifferent. We don't see that. And a lot of us on this call have to mirror. They have to do a lot of mirroring, just mirroring the other people we're facing. So we're oftentimes putting on not a real transparent face. So again, I want to encourage everyone, if you see people that have these symptoms, whether it's yourself or family members, even for that matter, doesn't have to be business, could be family, relatives, whatever, reach out to us, reach out to Gail, reach out to Paul, reach out to me. We're here to help. We want to do whatever we can to assist you and prevent you. Prevention is the key. If you can get people ahead of their getting burned out, that can go a long way. Again, we are here every week. Through the fourth quarter, we're here to help you. Feel free to invite others. We encourage you to join us when you can. We understand you can't always be here live, but if you can, it's a wonderful time of engagement and participation. We will see you all same time, same channel for another episode of Calm Under Pressure. Have a great weekend.
Bye all.